Okay, and then recording has started, so y'all are good whenever.
Well, good afternoon and happy Friday. I'm Lisa Conley, and this is a collaboration of the SGA, our wonderful, amazing, dynamic senior class president, Nathania, and the Office of Career Development and the OU Counseling Center, my colleague, Dr. Michelle Lynn. And so this is Senior Transitions Life After the Nest. So, Dr. Lynn, if you'll introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with my colleague, Dr. Lisa Conley from Career Development, and our wonderful SGA president, Nathania, and who is going to be presenting the student perspective. So we're really excited about this program. I'm the director of the Counseling Center. I've been here at Oglethorpe for 3.5 years, and I work closely with a lot of different departments on campus. The OU Counseling Center is the mental health resource hub on campus, and I will be providing some ongoing resources for after graduation. I'm a licensed psychologist, but I also have a background in career development, so this is a great opportunity for collaboration with my wonderful colleagues.
And Nathania?
Hi everyone, I'm Nathania. I was originally born in Jakarta, Indonesia, and immigrated here to the US, to Georgia in 2007. I'm a senior politics major, and I'm also senior class president. Nice to meet everyone.
And lastly, I'm Dr. Lisa Conley. I have been at Oglethorpe since the fall of 2021. So this is my first set of seeing full peatrels go through their full cycle, and it's really exciting. And I'm having I've had a couple of little breakdowns just in the past, couple of days. So just excited to see you hashtag take flight. But this discussion is to just talk about how to help you be successful after the nest and some of the uncertainties that come with graduating. So with that, Dr. Lynn is going to go first. And oh, I forgot, y'all. Our assistant director, Carly Burrell, is behind the scenes doing all the magic.
Thank you, Carly.
Absolutely, and I'm about to share the screen, but just so folks know, if you have any questions that you would like to ask the presenters, the Q&A feature is on. You can submit anonymously, and I'll see those questions first and share them with the presenters. So if anything comes up, don't be afraid to throw something in the Q&A.
Yes, do not be afraid. It will be anonymous.
Awesome. Well, needless to say, this is both an exciting time and a stressful time for our wonderful peatrels who are graduating in just a few weeks. So just to kind of say a little bit about that, just think about the idea of eustress, something that is positive, something you've been planning for and hoping for many years. But with that positive event comes stress that's generally unavoidable and very common and normal. If you think back to the spring of 2021, when a lot of you were graduating from high school, you felt that excitement about the upcoming changes, but also some sense of perhaps anxiety or fear or uncertainty. So that's what this slide is addressing here. So we'll just go through these 5 stress-producing situations for graduating seniors, and you may or may not see yourself in these scenarios, but these are common scenarios that I think will provide some discussion for when we get to that point in the presentation. So first of all, separation from the college friend group. So the close-knit experience of being a part of the OU campus, having feelings of safety, feelings of comfort and familiarity, not just with friends, but also faculty, staff, your organizations that you been participating in. And this may also be moving away from further away from campus. Dr. Conley and I were talking about in preparing for today, the sense of like spreading out even further. So in high school, you had some spread from your group, and now there's a potential for even further spread as people are moving potentially around the world for opportunities for jobs or school. And that could be from family as well. So this requires getting your bearings and establishing new support systems. Ideally, not starting from scratch, and that's one thing to remember, that you can hold on to those familiar support systems, but to some extent you are rebuilding. So that's stressful. Another stress-producing situation is freedom. So once you've taken that last final, or you turned in that last paper, you may feel this kind of overwhelming sense of, well, what do I do with my time now? I've been working so hard for these past 4 years and have plenty of structure, just waiting for what is my class schedule, when are my organizational meetings, when is my practice schedule. So then you don't have that same structure, and that sense of freedom is both exciting, but also can be stressful and scary. And along with that freedom, just having many decisions, adjustment to your own values, the way that you've formed and shaped your identity over the past few years as a college student, and taking responsibility for your own actions and your own mistakes. Maybe there were different ways that you could have prepared, but you didn't take advantage of those opportunities. But you're taking responsibility and you have the freedom to do so. Third, competition. So competition for graduate school slots, professional school slots, for jobs. You've experienced competition with your OU in the OU community, and things are broadening out now. Also competition around how much stress is worth reaching my goals? How much do I want to grind to get where I want to go? And then there's isolation, because everyone has their own path, or maybe a sense of isolation. Everyone has their own path, so perhaps you're working towards your goals and don't have the same alignment that you may have had previously around with your classmates. So that may be isolating, and it can also be exciting that you're on your own path. Peer comparisons. I think this is a big one, and my next slide really addresses this. But how do I compare to others? Am I the only one who's still figuring things out? And that can be a false sense of comparison most often, and we'll get into that in the next slide. Fear of missing out. What am I missing out on? Of course, you're only one person, so you can only take advantage of so many opportunities and options. But that fear of what am I missing out on, or what might I not be able to experience that my peers are experiencing. Perhaps that you have peers who are traveling or taking a gap year. And so those kind of things are common stress-producing thoughts and experiences. And then finally, just choosing a career that's interesting, that is a reflection of the work you've been doing on your major since you've been at OU, but also feeling a sense of maybe having too many opportunities and then having to narrow it down. And of course, within that process of making decisions, satisfying your parents, your family, your village, those who have invested in you, and that can be stressful. Of course, that village is proud of you, but you may also feel a weight of, well, can I please them? Will they be satisfied with what I do? And then the uncertainty of the job market. This is Dr. Conley's area. I know there's going to be some good stuff in there, but it's stressful because there's uncertainty and you can't predict the future. Okay, next slide. And I will condense this and tie it in with these stress-producing situations. So a lot of these situations are beyond your control, but how we think and how you think about these situations is something that you can control. So the definition of cognitive distortions is just a common way of thinking that's a distortion of how things are. It's difficult to have objectivity on one's own life, but that's something, if you work to challenge cognitive distortions or how you're seeing things, that is possible. So that's what you're aiming for, is looking at a cognitive distortion and then shrinking it down. For example, I'll never be successful. Using a definitive term like I always or I never, that tends to be a distortion or blowing things out of proportion to the situation. So that's the definition of cognitive distortion, and some common ones that seniors may experience. And I'm going to put into the chat and make this available to Dr. Conley and to Carly. So for anyone who wants more information on common cognitive distortions in general, but these are common distortions for college seniors. One is, I'm letting my family down if things don't go a certain way. Like just the idea, there's so many options and ways of that your path can go. And it sometimes that thought process of, if it's not perfect, then my family will be let down. Your family is all excited, and your village is on board with this upcoming graduation and celebration. They have hopes for you and goals for you, but to think I'm going to let them down when you're already clearly successful in life is a distortion. Everyone has things figured out except me. The idea that everyone is one of those definitive terms that tends to be a distortion, and that just cannot be true. The reality is that most everyone has not figured things out like me, is a more realistic way of saying of having this thought process. So if you recognize any of these kinds of thoughts, give yourself permission to calm down, do some self-soothing, give yourself grace. Another one is, I'm not qualified or ready to join the workforce. And I'm sure during your time at Oglethorpe, you heard something about the imposter syndrome. This is another reflection of that as it relates to graduating from college, similar to graduating from high school. I'm not qualified or ready to be a college student. I'm not qualified or ready to join the workforce. And needless to say, the experiences and the processes, the challenges that you face as a college student have prepared you for the workforce, and giving yourself the opportunity to just take out the knot. I am qualified or ready to join the workforce. And here are some specific reasons why. All of the great advice that you've gotten from our wonderful Career Development Office on how to highlight the things that you've been doing on your resume. I am qualified or ready to join the workforce. And finally, this is sort of the flip side of this. A distortion is things will fall into place on their own. So it's a distorted way of thinking that things will magically come together. And this is also can be an avoidance, a process of avoiding the fact that things will not fall into place on their own, that you will have to put in the work, or put in work for things to come together for your next steps. So kind of remembering that there's a balance here, and that's with cognitive distortions. You want to find a balance and think about what's helpful, what's realistic. It's not realistic that things will just come together on their own. It's not realistic that you're the only one. It's helpful, though, to think that things will fall into place when I get the help that I need, when I see my value, when I see my worth. So those are just some examples of distortions. Catch yourself if you're having them, and get help. So I will pass the baton on to Dr. Conley and welcome any questions about the things that I've covered thus far.
So before I start into the career development things, I wanted to follow up with Nathania to see if you had any insights on some of the mental health aspects that Dr. Lynn shared.
Yeah, I think that it's already coming to me that I'm gonna be missing the community at Oglethorpe a lot, and I'm already making plans of like, oh, when am I gonna visit them over the summer? When are you gonna come visit me? Because a lot of us are planning to relocate outside of Atlanta, maybe even out of state. So we're already making those plans because we're gonna be missing the community we do have here, and just finding ways to kind of cope with that. Making more group chats, saying like when are we gonna be contacting each other, but yeah, that's like definitely one thing. When you were just talking about the cognitive distortions, the very last one you talked about, the everything will fall into place eventually. I think that's a mindset a lot of me and my friends have. Like we're like, okay, we don't have to do job searching right now. It'll come my way when it needs to, and that's definitely a huge issue that a lot of seniors are having right now. But yeah.
Well, I want to touch on that, sort of friends, um, the friend, your friend groups will naturally, you will naturally sort of, it can be informal. It doesn't have to be, it's like, okay, we got our group chat. And if you miss a session, or I think when Dr. Lynn and I were we were at a luncheon and we had two seniors seated at our table. They were like, I'm gonna miss all my friends, but and I said to the student, I said, I just saw my college dorm mate. We had dinner last night. And it was like, and you all know I'm mature, very mature. So it's like you will all sort of one another. So it's like, yes, some friends will naturally evolve, and some friends that it's like maybe you weren't that close here while you were at Oglethorpe, you'll be even closer and tighter. It's like we weren't that, we weren't friends that much at OU, but now we're tight. And they'll see you through these next life changes as get to 30, get to 40, get to 50, all of the life stuff that happens. But as I'll talk about in just a moment, you'll meet some new people too. So I'm ready for my slides. So, Dr. Lynn talked about having a plan, and it doesn't just magically, we don't have our magic Hogwarts wand. You've got to have a plan for your job search and identify goals, and we can help you with that. Dr. Lynn talked about that lack of structure. If you had classes mostly Tuesdays and Thursdays, okay, let's make that your days that you look and start your job search process. It could be like, oh, okay, I do my thing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. When I talk to students about the search, it's if you're doing all of the things. So I will say for my athletes, I might say load the bases. For my students, I say let's get every pot boiling. And what I mean by that is, okay, your resume is optimized, and okay, you've got that going. You've got your LinkedIn, you've got that going. You're utilizing ways to go to your organization. So if you're involved it might be, young politicians, young advocates, young STEM scientists, whatever it is, continuing those young professionals type of things. So you're doing that also. But you're doing all of the things. If you know your resume is optimized, and it should be opening doors for you. Your resume should be opening doors for you. And then once you get opening doors is the interview. Once you're getting interviews, if you're not getting offers, then it's like you can always come and talk to us. I always tell students, we graduate. I'm like, y'all graduate, we don't. So we're here during the summer. You can make virtual appointments. If you want to come by in person, you can do that too. But it's so important for you to now be intentional, clarifying your goals about what next, because looking for a job, it is a job. And now that you have more time to focus, you can focus on it. And it's more encouraging if you do all of the things. It's like resume optimized, my LinkedIn profile set, because your LinkedIn profile, I like to say it leaves breadcrumbs. It helps people find you. All of these things are on an algorithm and people do get hired. I know students are like, LinkedIn. People do get hired. People do get recruited and hired via LinkedIn. So you want that optimized, and we have those resources for you. But it's so important for you to identify your goals. And it's like, what is it that you want? Where do you want to work? Where is it that you don't want to work? And what you don't want to do, because we want to make sure that's not on your resume. Because if it's something that you don't want to do, that's the first thing the employer, if it's on your resume, they're like, ooh, you know how to do spreadsheets. And it's like, no, but I don't want to. So you want to make sure that you've identified and been clear with your goals. Dr. Lynn talked about FOMO, and I'll go back to LinkedIn, and you're going to start seeing, hey, I'm happy to say I've accepted a job with la la la, and I've accepted a job here, and you're seeing your friends get jobs, and you'll start to want to be like, ooh, what am I doing wrong? And I want to advice, not just for senior year, for all time. If you need to take a break because seeing all of this is making you feel some kind of way, do it. It's hard. It's hard because everybody's path is different. Everyone's experiences are different. So say no to FOMO. If it's like, oh man, so and so got a job, like we kind of have the same experiences. I had that same internship that they had. Why didn't I get it? Say no to FOMO. Comparison is the so just say no. And then but focus on that's an opportunity for you to go back to your plan. It's like, okay, what am I doing? What's real? Ask yourself what's real. It's like, what's real with me? It's like, okay, I had 2 interviews, I didn't hear back. Maybe that's an opportunity to follow up. If you saw that your classmate got a job at said company, ask your classmate, hey, Petrel, do they have an early careers program? Be use that energy on being proactive. It's like, again, you all have different paths and different experiences, but say, what am I doing? Like, am I active in my search? I'm being active. I've got my goal set. I'm gonna stay. I don't want to say stay. I'm gonna follow my path. Because my path is mine. There's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot going on right now. But change also means new adventures, new job opportunities, new people to meet, new connections to make. And you will hear me say that every connection is a possibility. There's all types of things. Utilize this time. It's like, this is a wonderful time for you. You're creating a new and different life. It's also, yes, it's uncertain in that this is the first as a collective. We went from elementary school to middle school, and then we went from middle school to high school, and we went from high school to this sort of stair step. This is what I do next. Now that what next is up to you. You have an active role in making that possible. And yes, it can be uncertain, but it's also very exciting. So embrace that excitement. Like it's like, oh, I've got this. And all of these different paths. But again, it goes back to, now that you have the time, being very reflective about what it is you want to do, how your values connect with your work. And again, we're here for you, career development. Like, yes, we do jobs and resumes, but we talk about values and stuff too, and how they connect with your work. So embrace those new, change is tough, but you've done it before. This isn't the first time, and it will not be the last. So get good at it, but it also means new adventures. Rely on your positive network. I think I had a note here that said rely on your squad, but I didn't want to be like the mom squad saying it. Make connections. It's so important. Like, network. Nathania was saying, my group chats and my people, but those are when you get in a place where you might feel a little doubt. You might not feel like relying on your friends, because they'll remind you, you're you're it. No, you know how to do that. Yeah, you can totally do that. Remember you did that for so-and-so's class. Remember We had to do that freshman year. You can totally do it. Rely on your positive network. Those are the people you trust. And when you're meeting new people, and it's like, if you're, if you're like me, I'm like, like, so if you're a person that's meeting new people and you're just kind of like, that's a time to rely on your positive connections. So I encourage you to connect with our alumni association. Nobody helps a Petrel like a Petrel. And our alumni so want to give back and assist and help. They want to help you so much. They are so ingrained in helping you and making connections. And again, we're small but mighty. That is a great network. And don't just think it's like, oh, well, they're a lawyer. I'm interested in STEM. It's like, well, what if that attorney is married to a doctor? Because they usually are. They're willing to help, willing to connect, and we can again help you make those connections. So if you're not already following, you should be following Oglethorpe Careers. Resources, but if you're not following at Oglethorpe Alum, you should be following that as well. I mean, because again, the network is so important to helping you find things. It's like, yes, you can look for a job, but isn't it great if, oh, I see a job at said company. There are 5 Oglethorpe alums working there. They can help you and assist you so that you are unique in the pool. And while I'm thinking about being unique in the pool, it's like we have, in graduates, there are 200 of you into this space, and that's just OU, and that's just Petrels. Considering in Metro Atlanta, there are a whole bunch of other graduates coming into the job market as well. And I say that not to scare you, but also to remind you in your job search plan and identifying your goals, making yourself unique. And again, one thing that's unique about you, I know y'all didn't like it, is the core. But what you've learned here, and to be able to write and think critically and do all of these wonderful things, all of these incredible, we're out there doing all that wonderful stuff at the Liberal Arts Symposium yesterday. Those are your stories. Interviewing, cover letters, you're telling stories. You're just telling good stories, but making your story unique. So the incredible thing about doing that. Watch your money. Now that, as Dr. Lynn said, now you don't have that structure for those of our students who aren't commuters. If you were living in the dorm, now you're going to be finding an apartment. Oglethorpe's kind of like a little gated community. Won't have that gated community anymore. So making sure that it's like, oh, can't turn up like you used to. It's important to, and we're going to follow up with you with salary negotiation items and just sort of things that you can utilize. But you may have to, tighten up a little bit because maybe you're moving from the dorm to living with your parents, or you're going to have an apartment with some other Petrels or some other friends. But knowing that it's like, okay, I have to make a budget. The first job, it's like, oh, okay. Using those to say, okay, my apartment's going to cost this much. This is going to be my salary. Oh, who's that guy? I'm like, they take out a lot of taxes. Those are all those new sort of adult things that you have to consider. Remain flexible. And I say that I had and this is kind of connected to that additional bullet of, I know many of you Petrels are high achievers, and you want it's like, ooh, that perfection, and oh, it's got to be it's got to be my dream job. And I asked a student once, and I was like, what adult do you know that is still doing the job they had when they graduated from college? Like, what adult do you know? It's like, no, you're going to have all of these different experiences and jobs. So remain flexible. If the out is not, your most perfect. You're learning. Carly always tells this amazing story about the place that they were before we met and hired them. And it just always makes me laugh because they were like, oh, when they got this job, so excited. But it's not your first job's not the last job. It's a learning experience. Just like your internships were a learning experience to say, oh, I didn't like that one. Okay. So, if you get a job and you're like, I like some things about this job, there's some things about this job I don't like. And so, again, it helps you get to that next role, but remain flexible and give yourself grace. You are young people, young undergrads. It can come together, but I wish you could snap your fingers and it all be like everything's perfect today. I would love that for you, but it's going to be some work. So that first job is definitely not the last job. And there is a day, graduation day. It's going to be amazing for us. We're going to be celebrating you, but there is that next day, and getting your goals in line, and being thoughtful and reflective about the what next, but giving your um Dr. Lynn mentioned, like, we've had a close community here at OU, and you still have your friends and those connections. We're here for you. I always tell the students, if you're not already connected with me on LinkedIn, to make sure you do, so you always know where I am. Same thing for your professors. If you are needing connect with them now, because they may change and go to a different university. But if you're connected with them on LinkedIn, you always know how to reach them, especially for references, referrals, and as you get to grad school and you're needing you're needing assistance with your references and those things of that nature. But those are all. We'll be following up with you with a link to the resources, including Dr. Lynn's, that talks about salary negotiation, talks about some success strategies in the what next. And it's just so important for you to think, this is a process. It's all a process, just like it's been. And if I can, just, if you don't remember anything else that I've said, it's finding a job is a job. And don't get discouraged. If you are active in your search, and what I mean, if you can remember me saying, put all the pots on the stove, load the bases. If you're active in your search, it feels much better than, oh, I applied for that one, the one. And you're just like sitting there and you're waiting. And it's like, well, okay, while you're applying for that one, all right, there's this one over here. I'm going to this alumni event. I'm going to meet some people. I've joined the professional association. And then I want to remind you about those professional associations. Join them now while you're still a student and get the student rate. So get the student rate, because and so those are some of the things I have with our career development. Carly can jump in if I've missed anything, and I want to hear Nathania's take on the career development side.
Yeah, I'll kick it over to Nathania. I think you were very comprehensive.
I think, to speak for most seniors I know, they mostly want a job to move out of their parents' home. A lot of us were able to live in the dorms during college, and kind of letting go of that independence and going back home because you can't afford to pay rent is a huge encouragement for people to apply to jobs. And I think